You are not your trauma. You are not your pain. Everything you deserve happens for you and not to you. Your current experience is supporting your healing, growth, and awakening. Truth is healing. Truth is empowering. I am peacefully and responsibly expressing my truth. I am supported, guided, and protected. I have everything I need and require. I am creating my reality with my words, thoughts, and actions. I am the author of my story and in full creative control. My life is in my hands. Thank you for joining me for another episode of My Curl Speak with Key. Of course, I'm Key, and happy Wednesday. This episode is brought to you by Unfiltered Forever. Use my code CURLS at checkout to receive cash off. Visit unfilteredforever.com, and again, my code is CURLS. Okay, so for the first time, and not the last time, I have Isaiah from the Bird Brain podcast joining me. Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I can't complain. I feel like, the gospel song right now.
Let's go. But what is complaining really? Are you expressing yourself or are you complaining? I feel like complaining is more of like just talking without there being any action or intention to change versus saying, hey, this is what's going on.
See, this is how this conversation gonna go. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Now, we have to start off with the icebreakers.
Okay.
So, my first one is always the same question.
Okay.
This is a safe space. I feel like last year, I don't feel like my guests felt safe when I asked this question.
Okay.
But I'm doing better. Tupac or Biggie?
Man, this is not a safe space at all. Not a safe space. I feel attacked and I was not ready for this.
You wasn't. I know. This determines our whole friendship after this.
Yes. It's funny. You know what's funny? I grew up on the East Coast. I'm an East Coast boy. I'm a Jersey boy. So, Biggie is Biggie. And then as I got older, Tupac was more of a poet, and I just kind of aligned with him and just how he like spoke on his experiences. So it's like I'm gonna walk down the middle. I'm a fan of both. I'm really now I'm out in LA. Tupac you hear more than Biggie, but like I'm a fan of both, honestly. They're it's a duality there for me. They speak different languages.
I've asked this question on so many shows.
Yeah.
Over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm getting choked up.
Right.
Because you have been the only person to answer the question right. Because of the poet part that you just added in there. You know what? Yusuf, give me a hand clap real quick because nobody answered this the right way.
Let's go.
Because okay, that wasn't a hand clap. He's a hater. He's a Biggie fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's the right answer. You really can't choose between Biggie and Tupac. Now, I used to choose Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
But I got older and I realized they're two different wavelengths. The music is not even close to the same.
They are very different lyricists, and I think while the stories are similar to some degree, they're still very separate experiences, and like you could listen to them and to some degree just align with both. Single parents, both of them single moms, been through the struggles and everything like that. But it was just a way that Tupac kind of like talked about things, and also Tupac is a thespian, so
right.
He's an artist on top of being an artist. So a lot of what he talked about, it just traveled through a different kind of medium, so his flow, his style, like his trajectory, all that played a heavy hand in Tupac being a poet. He's very much poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And Biggie, East Coast, man, it's just like Biggie is Biggie. So
Right. Right.
that's what it is.
You got it right. Now,
Yes.
this question I haven't asked yet. This one is catered to you. Okay.
Okay.
So, if you could read any book
Uh-huh.
for the rest of your life every day,
Ooh.
what book would it be?
Can I say my own book?
Yes, you can.
I'm not going to say my own book. I'm still struggling to read my actual book, but I would say it's a toss up between the Four Agreements
Mm,
and The Alchemist. Um, because I feel like both of those books are um, they don't have an expiration date.
they
You know,
don't.
in terms of the lesson and in terms of the message, there's no expiration date on either of them. Actually, I have both of them, I think, up here. I have Four Agreements up here. But they are always applicable to every stage of your life. Like you never stop growing. So I could read each of them till forever and still have something to learn and apply. So yeah, those are my two: Four Agreements and The Alchemist.
I do. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
where you're going. Now, with the Four Agreements, I had to read it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I realized that I didn't. Okay, perspective is everything, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're reading things or listening to something and
Mm-hmm.
you don't perceive it the right way the first time, because I
Yeah.
had someone, the don't take things
Personal.
personally. Okay,
Yes.
I thought I knew what that meant, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I thought I did. I
Yeah.
thought I did was like, oh, but then I was like, no, because some things are personal. And my friend sat me down and he was like, but it has nothing to do with you.
Correct.
How someone feels about you has nothing to do with you,
Correct.
regardless if they feel that way about you. And I'm like, so you mean to tell me I did an episode on this book? I did a whole
Mm-hmm.
podcast episode, broke
Yeah.
it down, everything, and I didn't even really take it the right way the first time.
Correct.
So that's one thing I like about the lane that we are in. We
Mm-hmm.
grow and we learn things every day.
Yes. The personal thing, I think, and it was a light bulb moment for me recently in terms of what it means to not take things personal. It's that quote that says, "How someone treats you is a reflection of who they are, it has nothing to do with you," right? And we
Mhm.
always apply that to a bad experience. Whenever somebody mistreats us, it's like, okay, how someone treats us, it has nothing to do with it. Whatever. But we never apply it to how, if you are a person that's giving, you're constantly giving and you're met with kind of discord or is not reciprocation on the other end. And you're like, why is this person treating me this way? That all I do these things for them and I'm still met with kind of like disrespect or a lack of value, whatever. Well, the same thing applies.
Mhm.
Who you are has nothing to do with the other person. You're just going to be you, right? At the end of the day, you're
Right.
always going to be you. So it's like, don't take somebody's personal belongings. In other words, it's basically understanding that not taking something personal also means sometimes not personalizing that relationship either. It's
Right.
I can understand why you do the things that you do. I can have the wherewithal in terms of how you behave and how you move. And I can also understand that me not taking it personal means that I don't have to continue this relationship because this relationship doesn't necessarily belong to me anymore because it's not something that I want or I personalize.
I can't wait to get into one of your this conversation is taking me to the live that you did a couple
Okay.
of weeks ago. We're gonna talk about it. But before we talk about it,
Uh huh.
I want you to tell the people what you do.
Ooh, okay. So, what do I do? So I am, where do I start? I'll just start for 2021 for all intents and purposes. I'm officially a published author and
Mhm.
illustrator. Um, I am also a certified personal trainer 3 times over. So it's like fitness and all that stuff is my jazz. I'm an actor, writer, filmmaker. Um, I went to school. I double majored in communications and psychology. So
Mhm.
double bachelor's and I just kind of took those two and ran with it. And since then, I've just been doing that. And I'm a mental health coach now, a TikToker. I don't want to say influencer, but I think at this point, I have to accept the fact that, you know, the things that I say has impact and it has responsibility. So I will
Right.
say influencer now. So yeah, that's a little bit of who I am in a nutshell. Like I do a lot. I have a lot of things in the air. Um, but yeah, mental health and physical health are two of my big focal points in terms of just like life.
Now, with the Bird Brain podcast, if you could describe that,
Mm,
um, what is your motto and what's your message there?
okay, so I'll give you the backstory of how I got the name, and that'll help. So the Bird Brain podcast, the way I came up with that name is, you know, people often think that birds are dumb and kind of like dense, like they have small brains. But I always explain to people when a bird is in an uncomfortable climate or uncomfortable situation, it migrates, right? It picks
Hmm.
up, it leaves, it goes to somewhere better. As humans, we don't do that. A lot of times we stay grounded in situations that are not ours, or we endure things constantly instead of taking flight, right? Rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. So the Bird Brain podcast is all about having a bird's eye view on very common experiences, an elevated perspective on what you may be walking through or journeying through just in life. And it doesn't mean it's going to fix things. It just means that you now have a different perspective on how to see something or how to feel about a particular experience or just your life, you know, whether it be trauma, whether it be a breakup, whether it be, you know, losing a job or conflict in a relationship. Like all of these things are very common. And I do my best to talk from my own experiences versus feeling like I'm standing on a soapbox and preaching something that I've never lived.
Right.
So, um, you know, the Bird Brain podcast is my baby because it's literally all about being very present, very real, but also very helpful. Right. The
Hmm.
goal is to have like when someone listens, my goal is always that they walk away with a new perspective or they feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more elevated than they were previously. So yeah, and then the night owl component is all horror. So I just write and narrate short horror stories because I'm a big horror buff, and those are two of my favorite things, like horror movies, horror books, and mental health. So it's like, how do I make this my space? How do I do this in a way that I enjoy it? So mental health on Mondays, Friday horror stories. So it's like doing the work, but also having fun.
Yeah, so I'm like scared of horror,
Uh huh.
like terrified. Like I listen on Monday,
Uh huh.
but I've never tried the Friday. I'm one of those people that never really saw a horror film.
Oh
Like I stay
wow.
away from it. Yeah, 31
Okay.
years old. Don't watch scary movies.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like you can get through life without watching a horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't
it's
missing
like
much.
because the things that I find scary in regular life, I'm like, if they put this in a horror movie, I don't know if I ever sleep again. Like clowns.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
why
clowns are the
are they
thing.
like that?
You know what? Not to go off on a deep end, but like clowns became scary back in I think 60s or 70s. John Wayne Gacy, the clown serial killer. So that's when clowns kind of got that negative connotation. And then there was an urban legend about homing a clown going through the neighborhoods. I think it's Chicago, was it? Back in the 90s. Um, so yeah, clowns got this rap sheet, I think, when John Wayne Gacy was dressing up as a clown, going to birthday parties, but also like killing people. So it became that
Clowns
whole
and,
dynamic. Yeah.
white vans just terrify me.
That's it.
Don't put
Is
the
really
clown
it's
in no
really crazy.
van.
Huh?
If you put the clown in the white van, I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm gonna try you out Friday. I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see
This
what happens.
yeah, the stories are more actually I gotta get back to writing. Last year was such a it was a circus act. But the stories that I write don't have much to do with gore because I don't like cheap thrills. It's more of like a radio story, and it's more like a suspense or kind of like paranormal, something to think
Mhm.
about, like cliffhangers, things like that. Like I like stories that have that get that have like good taste to them. So
Okay. I
yeah,
might
when I
can handle it. I might can.
you can handle it. It's nothing crazy. It might keep you. You know what? It might have you looking over your shoulder sometimes, but you
But
be
I
all
do
right.
that already.
Yeah, you. So you cool. You cool. You
Yeah,
cool.
we might be straight. We might be straight.
You
Now,
good.
of course, I've done my research and I have, like I said, I have several things I want to talk about today.
Okay. Okay.
The first thing that I want to talk about is the video that went viral, the one that you said you came back and told us, uh, because I say this all the time. If somebody want to, they would.
Yes.
And you was like, well, no, that's not always the case.
Not always the case, right?
So let's talk about that for a minute. For a minute, because I
Yeah.
still be telling these women up here, if he wanted to buy you some flowers, he would buy. No, if he wanted to buy you some flowers, he would buy you some flowers.
You would, right.
He would. Now that part, he would.
Right. I mean, that's something simple, right? I think the if they wanted to, they would. And I've learned over time too, is something that's very nuanced, right? And
Mhm.
the reason why I say it's so nuanced is because even when I broke it down in the video, I kind of pointed out something that most people may not be aware of. It's like if somebody doesn't do something for you, and let's say you're used to relationships where you kind of get let down, right? So
Mhm.
somebody doesn't do this one thing, they miss anniversary date, or you ask them for something, they forget, whatever the case may be. Immediately you go to, well, if they wanted to, they would. What that translates to is that they don't care about me enough to do something that I asked, even though it's a small thing. So they don't want to. If he wanted to, he would. If he cared about me, he would show it, right? Or
Right.
if she cared about me, she would show it. So it's easy to throw that on somebody, right?
Mhm.
And then, even if we look at New Year's resolutions, let's use the New Year's resolutions. Let's say somebody is like, well, yeah, I want to drop 30 pounds this year. I want to drop 30 pounds by March. It's like, all right, cool. January, second week of January, you're already off your routine,
Right.
but you said you wanted to lose 30 pounds by March, February. If you really wanted to do it, you would, right? And then I come back with, well, I my depression hit. I
Right.
really hit a slump. My finances got crazy. I had this relationship issue. I'm having joint pain. Like I'm having all of these things come up in my life that are kind of influencing the energy that I even have to do this thing or lose 30 pounds. Also, too, I may not feel that I'm even enough to
Right.
have those 30 pounds lost. Like I don't feel like I deserve to be in good shape,
Mhm.
right? Because I have um this body complex or this mental complex in terms of how I look, how the world perceives me, and what I deserve in return. But it's like, but if you wanted to, you would.
It's
There's
not
so many
that
layers on that.
simple.
It's
It's
never
really
that
not
simple.
that simple.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it really is. Like I've had experiences where I realized I had asked somebody for certain things and they could never do it. But when it came to somebody else, they were able to do it. The same
Mhm.
exact things. Like it was literally like bookends. And even in that, it's like, well, if you wanted to, you would because you were able to do it elsewhere. But let's factor in what envy is. Let's factor in what insecurities about the relationship may be in there. Like,
Mhm.
let's factor in a lot of things. Maybe you see that relationship as having more potential or more of an incentive for you to do certain things, right? So
Mhm.
you're not going to invest in that with me because emotionally and mentally, you don't feel ready to do that when it
Right.
comes to me. So yes, even if you wanted to, you would. We have to really hold that mirror up to ourselves when we say that because how many things is it that you want to do? Everybody wants to be a millionaire, right?
Right.
Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but what are you doing to get there? Do you have the financial means to build your own business? Do you know about taxes? Do you know about how to build a business from a ground up? Like, what's the S
Hmm.
corp? What's an LLC? What are the requirements state to state? Like, are you doing all this research? You probably say, well, no, I'm not, because that stresses me out, and like that just leaves me in a place where I feel overwhelmed and I don't know what I don't know. So even though I want to do these things, sometimes the will to do it isn't there,
Right.
you know? And it's like, use your discernment. Sometimes when you do say that into a in a relationship that's healthy, you're kind of setting yourself up for a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes we are so afraid of being rejected that we reject ourselves first,
Whew,
right?
I felt it.
Like, we do the heavy work for somebody else. It's like, I can't take you rejecting me. So one thing I'm gonna cut you, and I'm gonna cut myself too, and then I'm gonna blame you for it. Right?
Yeah, I'm doing better with not doing that.
It's work. And you're doing better. The reason why you're doing better is because I want a healthier relationship. If it's not with another person, I want a healthier relationship with myself.
Hmm.
At some point innately we decide, hey, is this really what I deserve just because I've experienced it? Again, not taking things personal. How
Right.
someone treats us has nothing to do with our value and how we exist in the world. That's just their perception of things. And that's also their latent trauma that they're not dealing with in a healthy way. Right.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm rambling, but yes, that's kind of like my perspective on if they wanted to, they would, because there are a lot of things I think about where I'm like, damn, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then I'm like, I forgot to do that because I had this I needed to do, and this happened, this came up. So it's like having grace for other people, but also to, understanding that you don't need to endure, you know,
Right.
just because somebody doesn't have the capacity to do certain things doesn't mean you have to wait around for them to decide when they're going to do that work, right? So it goes hand in hand. I'm just saying, hey, have a different perspective, but you are still allowed to decide what kind of relationship you want to cultivate at any given point in time.
That's where, like you said a few moments ago, that's where the discernment comes in. 'Cause
Correct.
you have to understand, like, even for myself, like, I suffer from seasonal depression.
Yes.
Um, and so it's like certain times a year, it's not that I don't want to show up for other people. I have a hard time showing up for myself.
Correct.
So with that being said, it's like when I saw that video, you can't expect for people to give you grace, but you can't do it for other people.
Precisely.
Like, it's like the one time someone tells you no, they just never did anything for you at all. Like,
Correct. Correct.
like they never did all of the good times y'all had, it didn't matter
Didn't
because
matter.
time they didn't show up for you. And you don't
Yes.
know why they didn't show up.
Right. Right.
And it's
It's
a lot of times we don't ask questions. Like, I I'm getting
mm,
better with communicating how I feel because I used to feel like, I'm grown. I'm
right.
not gonna keep telling you what you did wrong to me. I'm
Yes.
I'm just gonna cut it off. I'm not gonna keep explaining this. And then it's like, but when it happens to you and your
Mm,
friend stops answering the phone and you don't know what you did to her,
yes.
or like your friend ghosts you, or the guy that you used to deal with doesn't want anything to do with you and you have no idea what you could have possibly done,
Yeah.
that's when you think about all of those times that, well, we grown. I'm not explaining myself to nobody. Like,
Correct. Yes. Like, let it be a mirror. And again, we are all fumbling through that, right? Because um starting from you saying you have SAD, seasonal affective disorder, seasonal
mhm,
depression. Like, that's a big thing, and it really does influence and affect people. Your whole mental space changes. Sometimes you just
mhm,
feel heavy and empty all at once, and the most you can do in a day is shower and get out of bed, right?
right,
Um, and not everybody understands that because not everybody experiences it. Um, and then to your point of like, I'm grown, I shouldn't have to do this, this, and this. Sometimes it's important to trust the relationship more than you doubt the value of who you are.
Ooh,
Okay.
you just be so deep for me.
you know, like, don't let your trauma speak for you in
Mhm.
terms of what you need and what you're seeking. And is again, it's that's why I said it's so nuanced because there are sometimes you're not being valued in a relationship.
Right,
And there's a pattern behavior there where it shows, okay, boom, 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 this continues to happen. I have a rap sheet. I have patterns here. I have information versus someone lets you down and you're like, well, damn, I guess I never meant anything. Completely disregarding everything up until that point, right?
right,
And it's a trauma response because we're always waiting for somebody to reflect what we've already been through. And while we try to get away from that, we still keep coming back to it.
right.
You know, we always find a way to recreate that relationship. Um, and also, too, it's important to pay attention. You know, sometimes we just have the same relationship in different people.
Oh,
You
until you
know,
learn the lesson,
till you learn a
keep
lesson.
repeating itself.
Correct. And you could catch it, but it's like up until then, if you keep saying everybody always disappoints me, everybody always lets me down, at some point in time you have to ask yourself, how is it everybody and you're still you? What is the
Right,
common denominator, right? So all it's like I said, it's nuance. Sometimes over communicating or communicating your feelings and your needs, sometimes it's you just advocating for yourself and saying things
mhm,
out loud if you're not used to saying what you need, right?
mhm.
And I think sometimes we're so afraid of saying, hey, this is what I need, this hurt me, because we worry that it's going to be too much for somebody or somebody's
Right,
going to run away or all these things. And it's like, if I care about you, you say, hey, this hurts you. I'm going to be cognizant of that, and I'm going to do my best to hold myself accountable and make sure I'm taking care of you in the best way possible. Because otherwise, I'm not doing my job in your life.
right.
So, yeah, it's nuanced, but with communication comes comprehension. So sometimes there are people that are just not willing to understand what you're saying, and
Because they just, and that's the thing,
yeah,
is certain situations that you have to realize that no matter what you say, it's going to be perceived however that person wants to perceive it.
correct.
It's a totally different,
Yes.
I would hope that if you're in a romantic relationship or even a friendship,
Hmm.
if I decide to be friends with you, I
Yeah,
want to understand you.
it's a choice. Yeah.
How can I call you my friend and I don't understand how you think?
Come on.
I
Oh,
mean, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people out here that's friends with people that they don't understand, but is that truly a friend if you don't understand the way that a person thinks?
some people like some people are seeking company more than conviction, right? Some
Mhm.
people are just seeking to have somebody there versus actually being present. Um, and that's why I'm very careful about the word friend because I think it's very overstated and very undervalued.
Right.
A solid friend is very few and far in between.
Mhm.
A lot of people you just know, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people you just know. You have some similarities, some shared things, some differences, whatever the case may be. But to be an actual friend, I feel like there's a certain level of intentional choice that happens consistently. Not frequently. You don't have to talk to somebody every day to be their friend.
Right.
Right? But there's a certain level of conviction, confidence, sincerity, and reciprocation that's involved in having a friend.
Mhm.
Okay, and I I just don't think people only value friendship when they are on the receptive end of it, but very
Right.
often do people pick and choose when they're going to be present as a friend, and that's where it's like it doesn't always compute for me. So I'm very careful about that word because it's a level of intimacy. Like friendship is a relationship.
It
You know,
is.
it's a relationship. And once people understand that, I feel like, because even think about it, let's say you're dating this person, right? You
Hmm.
dump all your friends to start dating this person.
Oh, I hate that.
You dump your friends, you literally dump your friends to start dating this person. And when things don't go well, you go back to that relationship that you were able to trust and rely on.
Hmm.
It's a relationship, right? Whether people want to give that title, it's a relationship. It requires responsibility, intimacy, and trust. And when you do sidestep or shade those friends or those relationships, you can't expect them to be there for you.
Right. Right.
I'm not on your borrowed time in terms of like what my feelings are and what my process is, because I'm coming with history, you're coming with history.
Hmm.
And if you reflect the history that I'm trying to work through and work from, I can't deal with you because I'm trying to move away from that.
There are so many, like we talk about red flags when it comes to relationships, but those,
Yes.
there are actual red flags when it comes to friendships. Like I don't like that whole, to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're me and if me and my friends are out going to dinner or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
we're together,
Right.
and your boyfriend, your husband call you
Mm-hmm.
and tell you to come home, and you come home, I'm not going nowhere with you no more.
As you shouldn't.
Because okay, y'all live together, or what, even if y'all don't live together, why couldn't that wait until we finish spending time? And you know what? This is going one second. This is going to tie into the difference between women and men, because
Uh-huh.
a lot of times women say that men prioritize their friends more than them, right? I don't
Okay.
think I don't think that's the truth. What I think it is, now it could be some that
Yeah.
love their homies more than they love you, but I
Right.
think it is that men have boundaries in place when it comes to friendships and relationships. If you
Mhm.
tell your lady that you're going to a movie with your friends tonight and you will see her afterwards, you're going
Yeah.
to see her afterwards.
Right. Right.
Whereas a woman, what happens is a lot of times women are the type of people, and I've been here, it takes
Uh-huh.
growth,
Yeah.
where you gravitate to the relationship, and now that's your end all be all, that's your best friend, and you done forgot about your friends,
Correct. Correct.
completely forgot about them. So you don't understand that, oh, he has a boy trip planned and he's still going to take it
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
I'm sad,
Right.
or he's going to go out tonight and we don't spend every day this week together,
Yes.
but he's taking time for himself,
Yeah.
or going, because men need to take more time for themselves, not even just with their friends. We need to normalize a man taking themselves on a date.
Let's go. I do it
Let's
all the time.
do that this year.
Yes. Self dates, they're real. Look, because most times people are now competing with my own company. I'm good company and I love my company, right?
Like,
So
I
it's like,
love me.
yeah, we're good. Oh man, we going to see a movie? We going to get some books? Oh, we going for a hike? Oh, let's go. Who am I? Oh, me? Just me? Awesome. Dope. I think to what you said, I think the reason why that happens is because women to some degree are taught that their identity is wrapped up in their relationship.
Yes. It used to be
Right.
like that. We were raised to be wives. We were raised
Yes.
to be mothers, but
Yes.
men were not raised to be husbands. And
Absolutely
that's
not.
where the difference is.
Uh-huh.
Men are individuals.
Correct. Outside of the relationship, they are who they are. In the relationship, they are who they are. There's still a level of like individuality that men have, which is why infidelity is such a thing. Um, But to your point, it's so what's funny about that is that a lot of men, as they get older, mid 30s and older, don't typically have a lot of friends. A lot of men don't know how to do friendship. Um,
Really?
they lack the emotional maturity and or intelligence to have an intimate friendship, which is why a lot of times is bonded on sports and weather. Like it's like this is a buffer that kind of keeps this exchange going. But in reality, I probably won't know your name for 5 years. And we talk every day, but I still have no idea who you are. Right. So it's like, meanwhile, women, they have community, they have groups. They have this person that they could go to, they could talk to if something's going on. Like there's access in terms of friendships. And what I think it is, just like women are taught or kind of groomed to be a part of something and men are taught to be individuals. I think also too what happens is that men are not taught to uh, communicate or have community. It's like
Right.
you go out and you conquer. You're not here for community. You're here to possess things. This is
Mhm.
yours, that's yours, that's yours. Go out and hunt and gather. That's it. Um, so that I think is kind of the underlying issue. Like you said, some men love their homies more than their actual significant others.
Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah,
But I think in most cases that's not the case. I think
yeah,
it's that if
yeah,
you have plans, you're gonna go through with your plans.
yeah,
Whereas if a man try to make plans with
yeah.
me, I might tell my girls I can't go. I think
Right.
that's what the difference is. The boundaries that men have versus the boundaries that women
That
take.
women have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, I've been on a receptive end where my homies, like, they got into relationships and they just disappeared off the face of the earth.
I think
And
they do that in the beginning. Did they come back around afterwards?
they come back around when things aren't working, and then when they get back together, it's like this light switch that they do, right?
Oh,
And after a while, for me, I just kind of check out. I'm like, look, this friendship is more for you than it is for me because you can't even be consistent. So therefore, there's nothing that I could seek from you. Like, so I'm gonna keep you here now, right? If you come seeking me out, I'll check the weather. Fair weather friends, right? I'll check the weather before we engage because what I understand is um, you have a pattern, you have history, and there's certain times that you clock in, and then there are other times where you clock out.
right.
Um, and what I've come to realize is like, and this isn't to toot my own horn because I've had to learn a lot of things very early, but like my emotional, I guess, awareness and self awareness is different from a lot of people, but also guys my age.
I have to ask this. I've been holding it in.
Okay. How old am I?
No, that's not what I was gonna ask.
Oh,
I was holding it in. And the listeners of my show, they probably been waiting on me to ask this question for the last 30 minutes. Isaiah, when's your birthday?
I'm an Aries, April
Oh,
1st.
really?
Hmm.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I'm a double Libra. So it's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
My moon sign is a Libra. That makes
Oh,
sense. Yeah.
balancing, always balancing other scales.
Right.
Why do you say that's interesting? I know a lot of Aries.
Aries
I've heard.
men, I know they're they're the type of men that you have to actually like look at their license to see if they really stay where they say they stay at, or like, or they have double lives, like they have like a living girlfriend, but they,
Right.
yeah, it's real weird, that's
Oh,
why I said interesting.
cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. It's Aries are typically, it's funny. There's a level of loyalty, but I think a lot of Aries are loyal to themselves,
Right.
right? Versus being loyal to the relationship or the situation. When's your birthday?
My my birthday is November 13th.
You're a Scorpio.
Right.
Okay. Water sign. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But my moon sign is a
Libra.
Libra.
So you're okay. So all right, you're also doing the balancing of the scale. See, the thing about water signs is you guys ride the emotions, like the waves,
Mhm.
the constant waves, right? And then when it comes to Libra, it's like you're always doing the whole justice balance, like what's right, what's wrong, trying to find the gray area. And then I'm fire, so it's like firecrackers, right?
Like
And
I
then
got a best friend, she's an Aries, but like I've learned that
yeah,
what we date and our friends are not the same thing. So like I don't know how it is
mm,
to date like a Aries. Well, No, like I said, they be having double lives. Like
Yeah,
the man is like, that's why when you said, I was like,
yeah,
I would not have thought that. Now
right.
that you said you thought I was gonna ask how old are you? How old are you? Are you
30.
thinking about your age?
No, I'm 33.
Oh, I was about to say you about the Aries lie, ain't it?
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not going to Aries
Okay.
lie. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 30s. Yeah,
Okay. So you all right.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say nothing else about your sign. I just
Oh,
need to know what you were because of your level headedness, but the Libra
mhm.
part makes that make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a thinker, honestly, and my mom, bless her, there's a lot of wisdom and experiences that she's just bestowed on us growing up, and her being a single parent, being in law enforcement, all these things. It's like discernment is very much emphasized,
Mm.
but also too just how you treat people. It's like it's not complicated to treat somebody well. It's really
Right.
not that difficult. So the issue I typically have, I'm like, is it me then? Because this doesn't seem like a thing that should be a thing. And that's why I am so big on boundaries and encouraging self-awareness and self-love and self-care, because the self-love thing is kind of thrown around, but it's like, how do I love myself? People are like, well,
Right.
how the hell do I love myself? What does that look like? And it's like, you got to give somebody practical tools. And a lot of times self-love looks like you not rejecting yourself for somebody else's love,
Right.
right? You really get good at being in your own company. You get good about holding yourself accountable. Like, you make goals, you set them. Like, all of that is a form of self-love that we don't necessarily realize is loving ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So the Aries, the Libra, the mother, all that kind of
Yeah.
like ties into
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend yesterday when I was telling him about your podcast, actually.
Sure.
And we had the conversation about self-love and self-care, what it looks like for men.
Mm.
Because I think as women, we assume that men are not doing those things for themselves.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's because we're confusing self-maintenance and self-care. And
Talk
if you
about
don't know the difference, then of course you're gonna oh well, well, a man, he's not going to get his nails done or his feet done, and he's not doing it. But that's not self care at all, which I learned from Amber.
talk
That's
about it.
maintenance. That's not self care. Self
Talk
care
about it.
is the inner work that you have to
Yes.
do, which is why I like your show because, like I said it in the green room, and I'm gonna say it again. I haven't found another male podcaster that was a solo podcaster.
That's
You were the
crazy.
first one. I'm not saying you the only one. I
Right.
ain't heard it yet.
Right. I mean, I'm honored. I think I appreciate that, because it's like, at the end of the day, I don't know what that means. Well, what does that mean to you? Like, the
Well,
fact that
like I'm a solo podcaster, meaning I don't have a co-host. Like I
yeah.
may, like I'm having a conversation with you today,
Hmm. Hmm.
but like majority of my episodes are me by myself. Like
Yeah.
it's just me. 99% of my shows are actually me talking to myself. The messages, I mean, they're for other people, but I'm really talking to myself.
For yourself.
So like I follow a lot of men
Hmm.
podcasts, but usually it is like a group of them.
Yes.
So it's a conversation.
Right.
It's not them like just with, dialogue alone, So when
Yeah.
I say solo podcaster, that's what I
Yeah.
mean because I haven't came across another one. And to be in your lane and talk about self-love and self-care because I don't think enough men talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I, it, for me, I think the goal is to, funny thing about TikTok is, like, demographically, majority of my viewers, my audience is women, right?
Mhm.
Because I think women um experience and hold on to trauma, uh I don't want to say a lot more, but it's such a way that, again, you're groomed to be subservient, you're groomed to be pretty, you're groomed to be the childbearer, you're groomed to be the emotional support system. You have all of these hats that you have to wear, correct? So it's like
Mhm.
your willingness to talk about certain things, or the fact that you are carrying these things is a little bit more present than I guess it would be with a guy. And the whole thing about guys on a show together and talking to each other, I think a lot of times guys are looking for the validation from other guys.
Mm.
Um, to be like, oh, well, what do you think about this? Oh, yeah, cool. This is what I think. And it needs to be sometimes a competition versus like actually conviction or standing on something. You
Mhm.
know, for me, it's like before I speak about anything, is like, again, I reference my life, I reference my experiences, I read a ton. Um, so it's like at the end of the day, by the time it comes to me bringing it here, I've already thought about it or I've had
Mm.
conversations about it. Um, and I'm cool with that. Like it's just like I'm good with that. Like I'm cool. I'm in my own lane. There's no traffic here.
Right.
I get to drive my speed, and that's just what it is. And it's like I typically have guests on here and there, but it's like I like to talk to people that again have something to talk about, and I like to hear their experience or share their experience with other people and be like, this is what's happening elsewhere too.
Mhm.
Guy, girl, whatever the case may be. It's like we all have experiences that affect us that we carry. It's just a matter of having the space and confidence and trust and safety to talk about it.
Right. One of my favorite things you've said.
Hmm.
Um, this was on live though. I don't know if
Okay.
you remember. This was like I think last week or the week before.
Sure.
You made a comment about dating.
Okay.
You said that. Now I actually put it in my notes.
Uh huh.
I don't think you realized
Dope.
how 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 hard that sentence had hit that night. But it
Okay.
was you and Amber.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
Shout out to Amber from the Hill
Shout out.
podcast, Amber Kinney. Um,
Yes.
y'all was on live and you basically was like, if I'm in a relationship and it's too much work,
Yes.
it feels like a job. I'm
Yeah.
not doing this.
I'm clocking out.
I'm
I'm
not
clocking out.
like,
Yeah. Because I think, you know, there's a difference between work and effort, right?
mhm,
There's a big difference between work and effort. It's like you go to the gym, you put in effort to build yourself to get stronger. You lift this weight, you know that it requires a little bit more effort than it did the day before, whatever the case may
mhm,
be. Versus working at something, it's like I can have a puzzle, right?
mhm,
And you give me all these puzzle pieces and I'm trying to put them together and I keep trying to force this nickel into one of the puzzle pieces because I'm missing something. Something's missing from this puzzle. So I try to substitute this to be a piece of the puzzle. That's work,
right,
right? That's work. And the reason why it's work is because at the end of the day, I'm still going to be frustrated and I'm still going to be left with a nickel and a puzzle without the proper piece.
mhm,
As where effort, you give me this puzzle, I have all the pieces. Now I just have to sit here and put it all together. In a relationship, sometimes it is a puzzle and you're trying to put the pieces together versus trying to force things to fit,
right,
right?
mhm,
And I think when we try to work at a relationship, that means that something's not there. So you're trying to overcompensate and overextend yourself. And that's where the resentment comes up.
mhm,
I start resenting you or you start resenting me because one of us or both of us are trying to fit each other into a box that neither of us belong in.
right,
My expectation is that you be this person for me. Your expectation is that I be this person for you, but neither one of us asked to be that person versus like, hey, I'm working on myself. I want to make sure that I'm doing the best by me, but also doing the best by you. And you do the same. That's effort. Both people showing up to be like, hey, what do I need to do to make this better? Right. So yes, there's a big difference. I clock out all the time. And it doesn't just apply to, again, intimate relationships. I do it with friends, family. It's like whenever it feels like I'm working, because I know how hard I work. That's the thing.
right,
I know how consistent I am. I take pride in the fact that I don't think there's one person that could be like Isaiah. I couldn't rely on him. He wasn't dependable. He's flaky. He's this. He's not supportive. He's all these things. I don't think there's one person that can say that with confidence. So knowing that, I already know my pattern behavior, right? And
Right.
other people know it too. So I'm already doing the work on myself to make sure that you don't have to do any more work later in our relationship. So why the hell do you think I'm going to work overtime to be in this relationship with you when you're not working at all?
And it doesn't have to be that hard.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It relationships don't have to be
They're not that complicated.
hard. And if it has to be that hard, Lord, I want a relationship. I want one, but I don't
Yeah.
work.
Come on.
It might sound bad.
No, it
It sounds
doesn't.
bad if you looking at it out of context. Like if you're not
Yes.
listening to what you just said work was.
Yes.
I do
Yes.
want to put my effort in there.
Yes.
Yes, I want to make sure that you're happy by first making. I'm gonna make sure I'm happy,
Period.
and then I want to make sure you're happy. But if making you happy is pulling every strand of hair out my head, I don't have it in me.
No, ma'am.
I can't do it.
You're not lying. I think because people get caught up in this idea of enduring more trauma. In order for me to show you that I'm worthy of your love, I have to take whatever you give to me. And I have to be loyal in a situation that I can't trust. No.
I just can't.
No. And you shouldn't. Never should you put yourself in that position. That is not a prerequisite to a healthy relationship. And that's so important for, I think, women to understand, especially too, is like your value is not based off of how much you can take. Like
Mm-mm.
your value is not based off of how resilient you are. Sometimes you got to be like, yeah, I'm not strong enough for this. I'm not built for this relationship. God did not build me like him to be able to endure so much and still let you walk away with a clean slate. Nope, I'm a human. I'm not God. Don't hold me to God's standards when it comes to how much I should endure, and then treat me like a doormat when it comes to how you should treat me,
Mm-mm.
right? When it comes to how I deserve to be treated. It's like, don't pick and choose, right? I am not responsible for all the things that you've had to work through. So when you come to me and I come to you, don't give me all your baggage and your dirty laundry to clean, and meanwhile you just go about your business. It's like, no, don't do that to me, because I'm not giving you anything to heal from. Like, I'm not doing that.
No, this
Don't.
is not Noah's Ark. Do not bring all the animals over here.
Get that
Not
damn
bring
squirrel off this
animals
boat.
2 by 2. Not over here. I'm tired now.
You got all these damn hamsters on this boat and they keep populating. It's like, no, get them
Right.
off this boat. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's important to, the one video that went viral back in July was I talked about the difference between a grudge and a boundary.
Let's talk about it.
And the way I explained it, because I was referencing a previous experience where there was a friend of mine who they broke my trust. Like, I shared something with them in confidence, and then they let it slip out later that they broke my trust.
Mhm.
So at that point, I was like, well, we can't be friends anymore. And then it just became one thing after another where I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, so this friendship can't exist because I don't trust you. And you've shown me that you can't be trusted. So I'm going to have to keep you somewhere else out of my life. And if you're in my life, you're very much over here now.
Yeah.
That's my boundary, right? A
Mhm.
grudge is me being so upset with the fact that you betrayed my trust that, like, I literally spend my waking days and nights hoping that you are hurt the same way. Is me drinking the poison and hoping that you die from it,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people understood that, and other people did not. They're like, well, God forgives and people change, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, look, let me explain something to you. Forgiveness, I can forgive a situation, doesn't mean I allow access. Forgiveness does not equate to access, and
Mhm.
people oftentimes associate the two. Um, And my boundary is my boundary. If I've had to work through certain things, I don't need a repeat, and I'm not going to repeat myself. And then the whole, well, people change, whatever. It's like, that's fine.
Change over there, don't change over here.
Come on now, because when you decide to change, doesn't mean that I was standing still waiting for you to change the entire time.
Mhm.
I've not only had to grow as a person, I've also had to grow through what you put me through.
Right.
So
Mhm.
my change and my growth is expedited because I
Mhm.
have something that I'm chewing on that I have to digest.
Mhm.
You're kind of off the hook, right? So it's like those things that come up is just a way for people who lack boundaries or who are on the receptive end of somebody else's boundaries. They feel some type of way because it's like somebody is holding you to a standard and holding you accountable for something that you did not want to hold yourself accountable for.
Right.
you know so you see me and you're like, this triggers you. That's why a lot of times they say a hit dog hollers.
Mhm.
You don't know me from a can of paint. You saw this video on TikTok and you felt so passionate to speak out and tell me how I should live my life, and you don't know me at all. Why
Mhm.
is that? Because something in your life is a reflection of what I'm talking about.
Right. Somebody you did wrong and you want them to forgive you.
You want them to forgive you. I'm not
Mhm.
that person. Don't
No, it
take that with
ain't.
me.
Listen, if I have to heal from you,
Correct.
you
Yeah.
can't come back over here. That doesn't mean that I hate you.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that. It's just I I would rather not.
I've learned. I don't need to learn twice. And me loving you doesn't have to deal with, like, I don't need permission. I don't need to hate you first to give myself permission to love myself more.
Mhm.
Those things are not mutually exclusive. Like, I can love you from far over there and still love myself at the same time. I don't need to dislike you first. And I've said that a lot of times. It's like there are people that I will probably never have a relationship again with in my life. Do I have love for them? Absolutely.
Mhm.
I want the best for them, but I also want the best for myself. And I realize that they are not a part of that.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Like I feel like boundaries, I'm going to talk about boundaries again cuz I think boundaries may be my word of the year.
Come on now.
I think that might be my word. Last year my word was accountability.
Ooh. So you go through the alphabet.
Right?
Accountability,
What I
B, let's
did
go.
there?
Yeah.
So I think this year it may be boundaries. I think I said accountability on, if I had 46 episodes, I know I said that word on like 40 of them. Like
Accountability. So,
accountability. I
uh-huh.
think now is okay. Now I need some boundaries in place because boundaries are set for people. People think that it's a bad thing, but it's honestly set for people that you love.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the hardest boundary for me to
Hmm.
make is boundaries with family. I
That's the
love
one.
my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the family. Like so that doesn't mean that I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
And I think this goes back to the beginning of our conversation
Yes, ma'am.
about perspective.
Yes.
Because everything we just said,
Yeah.
every last thing that we just said, if you didn't have the ear to hear it the way that we were saying it, you would receive it the wrong way. And
You would
whoever
be.
was on your post saying that you needed to forgive, first of all, you are not God. And I am a Scorpio. And I'm never
Yes.
going to tell you that.
Yes.
I'm never,
Yes.
I'm never going to tell you to open the door for someone that done robbed you. I'm never going to tell you
Yes.
to do that. I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you to do what you feel is right.
Correct.
And I
Correct.
feel like, do what you feel is right as long as it's beneficial to your mental health and it's not detrimental to anyone else's.
Yeah.
Because then you good.
Yeah.
Then you fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell you to forgive. I'm not gonna tell you to forgive.
Oh, and it's funny because like I do forget. I'm a very forgiving person. And sometimes when I did read those comments, I'm like, wait, am I not forgiving this person? And then I think about relationships that have wronged me in some way, and I still have a relationship with those people. It's like I'm a very forgiving person, but also too, again, there's certain things I'm not going to endure and tolerate. Why?
Right.
because I'm not giving you something that you have to chew on. Like, I'm not giving you new things you have to heal through. So whether it's my work or yours, something needs to happen in this relationship because us being in a relationship doesn't work,
It
right? And when the whole love thing comes up, it's like love does not mean access. Forgiveness does not mean access. Because I'm setting a boundary with you and I'm not ripping your head off and I'm not trying to get back at you, I'm just keep you at a safe distance for both of us. That's love right there.
that is
Because
love.
I
Lord,
still care. I still care. And I'm going to let you go in such a way that, yes, you may be harmed because it's like we don't talk anymore, whatever the case may be. But it's like, at this point, it's not my problem to take care of your feelings. That's not on me.
it's not.
We're good. We're fine. Um, so yeah, I don't play God. And it's like I tell people, it's like, everybody wants to bring God into the mix when it comes to forgiveness, but no one is bringing God into the mix when it comes to how you should treat other people.
Okay.
You know,
You can't pick and choose.
don't pick and choose with me
Because
because God's not shady.
what
You
did you
know,
make me have to forgive you to start with?
come on now.
Okay.
Why do I have to forgive you in the first place? Let's talk about accountability.
Right. Oh,
Um,
that's the word, I tell you.
yes, yes. I told someone, somebody said to me once, they were like, because I had there was this post I shared from this other author about like what consistency looks like or what friendship is. It's consistency is these. And of course, they felt the need to say, they're like, wow, with those expectations, I can never see myself being your friend. And I was like, I think you have expectations and standards confused.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is kind of where I hold things also to I'm able to meet my own standards.
Mm-hmm.
I can meet those standards. That's not an issue. But before you tell me how I need to be so you feel a little bit more comfortable half-assing in my life,
Mm-hmm.
work up to my standards or don't. I'm not forcing you here, right? The
Mm-hmm.
door is open. I'm not forcing you to sit down at my table, but there is a dress code when it comes to sitting at my table.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to be what it is because what I serve you and how I take care of you is going to meet the very standards that you expect when you sit down.
Right.
So let's keep it mutual. And she tried to kind of come back with, forgiveness and community is necessary. I was like, look, I understand that, but before you start preaching God and forgiveness, I was like, I think there needs to be more of a rhetoric around intention and accountability. And also,
Mm-hmm.
too, I don't crave company so much that I'm willing to sit in the wrong company.
Right.
Jesus did that, and look what happened. Like, I'm not Jesus.
We ain't him.
You're right. So me being resurrected after I get stabbed in the back and all these things, I don't really see that in my future. So therefore, I'm going to eliminate as many situations that kind of reflect me being in a space that I don't feel well. That's just it.
I feel like this was your initial sermon. You are a pastor now.
Church doors are open.
The church doors,
Well,
they are
no.
open. They
Yes.
are open because somebody needed to hear that. I needed to hear it, but child, I
Yeah.
don't. I had already told you how I think.
I just don't play about it. I think it's just like, I don't like when people try to play semantics with me because
Mm-hmm.
look, I'm well read and I'm a good study. It's like, don't try that with me. Like I study patterns for a living. It's my career, right? Mental and physical patterns I'm very aware of. So if you're telling me certain things and you're just throwing off something that you Google search or that you read in the scripture, it's like make sure you are applying those same things when it's
Mm-hmm.
not convenient for you to talk about,
Right.
you know, and we're good. But until then, don't come at me with that.
Please don't, because I'm
Don't.
gonna say Matthew 7:1 every time. I don't use nothing else.
Yes. Yes.
If you make me mad, I might say Jesus will, and that's it. That's it. I don't
Scorpios,
know nowhere
man.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a Scorpio. I'm gonna be a better Scorpio this year, though. But
You,
like
you
your show was this week.
uh-huh.
I'm going to be realistic
Yes.
I'm not gonna sit here and make all these resolutions and stuff and not live up to it. Every
Yeah.
day is a new day. See, I had heard the show.
Come on.
I had listened to it. I
Come
had
on.
listened to it. So I'm gonna be realistic in
Yes.
my journey this year. Mm,
Yeah.
yep. I'm gonna be nicer though. I think I'm gonna be nicer.
Be kinder. I think there's a difference between nice and kind. Nice is kind of like manipulation. Kind is like
Ooh,
I can I can I can kindly tell you that I'm not the one to play with, you know?
right.
I
Mhm.
can take care of you and still take care of myself. That's kindness.
Mm,
Nice is sometimes we compromise how we feel to make sure that somebody else doesn't feel bad, or we
mm.
try to manipulate an environment to get the outcome that we're seeking. Kind is like that's who you are.
See, we just learned something new today.
Yes.
We definitely just learned something new because I didn't know that. So
Yes.
this year, 2022, I'm going to be kinder.
Kinder.
See, I'm gonna be kinder. I'm not gonna be nice. Not
Yes.
this year.
Be
Cause I'm
kind.
gonna say no and I'm gonna mean it.
But I love that. It's like, give yourself the grace to be who you are, but it's like, being kind also looks like you being very cognizant of your relationships, what you're seeking from them, how you show up in your relationship with yourself. Like that's what kindness is, it's seeing all things, it's seeing things from all perspectives or multiple perspectives, but still making sure that you are taking care of yourself um, in such a way. People are going to get hurt one way or another, right?
Mhm.
But you're doing what you need to do for yourself. And also, too, cut when it comes to cutting people off or setting these strong boundaries, even that's you taking care of yourself in the way that you know how. It's
Mhm.
like a pendulum, right? Sometimes boundaries are literal walls, and it's like, well, this is my boundary right now. Maybe it'll become a gate eventually, but right now it's a wall.
Mhm.
Why? Because everything up until now has been such an impact that I can't really deal with that right now. And I'm going to need a healthier pattern of people that show up in a way consistently that
Right.
let me know that I can take this wall down.
Hmm.
You
Because
know?
I should feel safe in all relationships in my
Yes.
life, like platonic,
Yeah.
romantic. I
Yeah.
should feel safe because everything, like me and you, we have a relationship. Everything is a relationship.
Correct.
Everything. And all of them, I should feel like I could be myself. And if I don't feel like I can be true to myself, then I don't need to be a part of that.
We're not dancing.
Like this year, one boundary that I put into play, and
Hmm.
anyone that's listening to the show that actually talks to me on a regular basis, is I actually use do not disturb at night now.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the sleep function, like
Yeah.
automatically comes on. I think at 9:15, my phone does not ring.
Blessed.
And I sleep. I go to sleep between 8 and 9 o'clock every night.
Okay.
I've been doing that every day this week to like
Mhm.
try to give myself that time, like, because the amount of time that you have yourself accessible to other people, you taking that from yourself.
Come on. Time is currency.
It is. And the amount of times I get on this show and I tell everyone to prioritize time with themselves, and I wasn't doing that for myself. I said, I'm not doing that no more.
Correct.
It don't matter what I miss out on.
Yeah.
I might miss dinner. I might miss this. I might
Yeah.
miss that, but I got some rest.
Yes.
And I
Come
needed
on.
some rest.
Yes. And
Um,
that's and the people that value you and want you to be okay, they will understand that. And again, it's about pattern behavior, right? It's a difference between somebody who's just flaky and inconsistent versus somebody
mhm.
saying that, hey, I need rest. I'm just like, I need to catch up. I need to take better care of myself. So this is what I'm going to start doing. Um, I leave my phone downstairs at the end of the night because I know for me, I like to read before I go to bed. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm trying to get through 5 books this month so I could like read a few
Are you
more.
gonna do reviews? You should
I
do book
think
reviews.
so. I'll do reviews. I'll do
You
some
should.
book reviews.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do some book reviews. But yeah, like when I go upstairs, I leave my phone downstairs come upstairs, I read, throw some music on. Even if my clients try to contact me after a certain time, it's like I have to be okay with not responding until the next.
Right.
The reason being is because in the contract it says, "Hey, 24 hours in advance."
Mm-hmm.
If that's not 24 hours, that's not on me. Like
Right.
I can't be on, and I have to give myself that space too because I'm always working on something.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something to be done. Social media, we're so glued to it. As a podcaster, this is like we're always trying to work on the social media, always trying to work on this promotion, marketing, etc. There's always something to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to tell yourself, you have to be a good boss to you and be like, look, this is your cutoff,
Right.
you know. Um, and again, once you start doing that for yourself, you set the standard for how you're going to be treated. The reason why is because you have the capacity to treat yourself the same way.
Exactly.
Self
Exactly.
care, self care, self maintenance versus self care. Like that's true self care. Get
Mm-hmm.
the rest that you need. Having a boundary, putting on do not disturb. Like those are all love languages in some capacity. So,
We communicate because, like, for example, my best friend,
mhm.
whenever we're having like bad days or something like that, she
Yeah.
will text me and she will say, "I'm going to turn my phone off right now. I'm not in the mood to talk right now. But I love you and I'll check in with you later." So
Mm.
if if your loved ones, they don't know how to react to your boundaries that you've set if you didn't communicate them.
That's a huge one. And again, the flip side of that is like you read a lot of times is like, if I need to shut down, I don't need to be on my phone all the time. I don't need to do this. I don't need to respond to you right away. It's like that's all fine, well, and done, as long as you're capable of being on the receptive end of that too.
Right.
Like it
Treat people
doesn't
how you want to be treated.
that right there. And if I love you, I'm gonna let you know, hey, I know we talk, especially if we have a rapport, we talk every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just in this space where I just ignore you, that's going to cause you to worry, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're going to feel some type of way, and then comes to find out, oh, you good? Yeah, I'm good. And you just going about. In my head, I'm like, or in your head, you're like, well, is this how we move now? Did I miss something?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? So a new trauma is developed now, and a new that's in certain ways people don't understand that betrayal just isn't about backstabbing, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
If you're not a reliable person or you're flippant or you're inconsistent, that betrays people's trust too,
Right.
right? That's a betrayal of someone's trust as well. Um, and granted, friendships and relationships go through seasons, but that doesn't mean that the integrity and the respect and the care for the other person should be like it shouldn't be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I can easily tell you, hey, this week was rough. I'm just going through a lot in my head. I'll hit you up tomorrow.
And that was simple. It was simple.
And that honors you, and that lets you know, oh, this person does care about me, cares about our relationship, and wants me to be okay too.
Now, if I decide to go off the deep end and think you lying, that's on me. But you told me, you
Right.
told me, look, I'm gonna take some time to myself. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk to you tomorrow. And that I said earlier, because I'm really transparent with the type of person that I am in my journey. And I used to be a ghoster.
Ooh,
I used to
sex.
do that. I used
Yeah.
to do that. And like I said, it was more of, well, you know what you did. I don't have to explain what you did. We all
Yeah.
old and this, and that, and the third. But
Yeah.
like I said, life had to happen to me and I had to get ghosted
Yes.
and I had to get ignored and I had to be on the receiving end of that to say, oh, that doesn't feel nice. I don't want
Right.
to make anyone else feel like that, especially someone that I claim that I love.
Correct.
So it's so easy for me to say, look, I'm just not having a good day. Maybe you know what? Maybe we need to refresh in a couple of days because I'm not having a good day.
Yeah.
And that's easier. Or I actually have like on my phone, it tells you keys uh notifications are silenced. So
Yeah.
you know that it's on, so that you'll know, okay, I'm not ignoring you. I didn't get this. Like I'm
Yeah.
taking time. Um and that's one thing. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest, and I learned that,
Yeah.
that I don't like the way that feels, and I don't like making people feel, because like you say, you creating a new trauma.
It's physical pain. Being ignored, they said it equates to physical pain, and I've been
And
guilty of that too.
it does. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it hurts. It especially when you care about somebody, like it hurts. And the time the time span to care about somebody doesn't really have a time on it. It's just like if I care about you and the
I could care about you
communication,
today.
and that's
We
it.
could have a conversation and it goes so well until after that I'm worried about if you eating tomorrow.
Come on. That's a big one. Yes.
Because you can't help the connection that you build with someone, and sometimes it is that instant, and
Yeah.
people be like, they be like, you just met her or you just met him, like why y'all acting like y'all been besties this whole time, or why are you
Yeah.
that concerned about, you can't help that.
And you're not supposed to. Like people have to understand we are taught to dislike people, but we are born to love and connect with others, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why boundaries are what they are. But it's like, again, when people use that argument, there are people I've known for well over a decade that had worse intentions for me than somebody I met a week ago.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is. So when you say I need a time limit to care about somebody, what about the time limit to trust somebody? Right?
Right.
Why it's just what it is. I can't, like you said, you cannot help who you develop a bond with. All you can do is decide how you're going to take care of it. We
Mm-hmm.
don't choose who we care about. We don't get to choose who we care about. We can only choose how we decide to take care of them.
Like I always say, I feel like love is a choice. And but I'm gonna tell you why I feel like that. I
Okay.
feel like you can't help who you love, but I do feel like you can control how you love them. Meaning that I can love you from a distance
Yes.
and be in love with you.
Uh huh.
Like I can love you from a distance and be in love with you and not act on it.
Ooh. Okay.
So that's why I say it's a choice.
Okay. So I like that because I've always said love is not a choice. So there's two things to it because you're right. The concept of love is not a choice. The practice of love is, though.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And what you said explains it very well. Yeah, the concept of love is not a choice. Like we love, we can't help. How we love them,
Yeah, we can control
we
how
can control that.
we can.
Yeah.
Now, Isaiah, this I could probably talk to you for another 2 hours. We
We
have to
gotta,
do this again.
yes, I would love to. I gotta have you on too. I would love, love, love this.
We have to do. Can you tell the people where they can find you at?
Oh man, you can find me for one, the Bird Brain podcast. It's everywhere: Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. I got to get back on the YouTube game, but you could also find me on TikTok at Isaiah Frizzell. You can follow the IG Isaiah Frizzell or at the Bird Brain podcast. Um, Twitter, I'm in and out. Twitter is weird, so I'm just not really there. But podcast, um, IG, and TikTok are like my big places.
Yeah, that's where I have found you at, on TikTok.
Boom. I'm glad that you found me, and I'm glad that you had me here. This has been great.
We gonna do it again. We
I
gonna
would
do
love
it.
to. Say
Well,
less.
if you like to follow My Curl Speak the podcast on Instagram, is MCS with Key. To follow me, the voice behind everything, is the Diary of Key, and that's on Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, like everything is the Diary of Key. Thank you guys for joining me once again. See you next week.